Hello, welcome to today's video, homeschooling. So this was a requested video. There is hair in my eye. This was a requested video, so hopefully I will do justice to it, and let's just get started. So the first thing I want to address with my homeschooling videos is, yes, I used to do a whole lot more homeschooling videos on my channel, especially in regards to a Charlotte Mason education. The Charlotte Mason principles is that you are educating the whole child. It's not just about reading, writing, arithmetic tests of the highest degree, but that you are teaching good habits, you are creating a good citizen, you are bringing out their strengths and working on their weaknesses, like educating the whole child. And there's different principles that she did where she used a literature-based curriculum, which has a lot of living books, which basically means not a dry textbooks of facts, but to kind of see how it's played out, and so that the child becomes invested in it. And there's just a lot of things behind the Charlotte Mason education, and I did do a lot along with that to kind of show how you could do it into families and what that looks like as a broad scope rather than just the book work. However, I have stepped away from that mainly because our homeschool has adapted so much that I have my high schooler that still continues Charlotte Mason. However, I was finding that I needed to adapt it a little bit differently for my boys who are not big literature readers. And so there was definitely a shift with the homeschool, but there's also so many more amazing homeschoolers out there that were really able to better. And so I'm going to kind of leave it to the experts. But I will answer the question of homeschooling, what we're doing, and things like that in this video, and we'll go from there. So the first question was specifically homeschooling high schoolers. And so what I really want to talk about is just finding sources that will really help you and your high schooler complete all that they need to complete. First thing you need to do is go onto hslda.org if you have not already and register with them and get a membership. Not only are you then covered if your homeschooling abilities come into question, there's lawyers basically that will work for you, but also they have all of your state requirements listed on their website, so you know what your state requires. If your state requires a letter of intention, then they have like outlines that you can get in order to do that. If your state requires records or anything, they show you how to, I mean, it is complete there. I strongly recommend doing that, and that link will be in the description box below. One of the things that we're doing for our high schoolers are, my daughter is, she's my Charlotte Mason completed education child, and she is going to be doing dual enrollment this fall, which basically means not only is she doing like some of the high school courses, she can start enrolling in college, and some of the other courses that she needs in order to complete the field that she wants to do can be covered with the community college of our area. And this works out well for the student, because if you use it as your last year of high school, you kind of get ahead of it, and also too, it is covered through your education your taxes, education portion of it. So the costs are a little bit more minimally for the high school student. So she's going to be doing that, and she's done really phenomenally with her school. She has completed Algebra 1, Algebra 2, geometry, some pre-calculus, and yeah, I think that's it. And so with that, we used MathQC for math. I was really struggling with some fractions on how to teach that, and there was a phenomenal lady in our town that I call a rocket scientist, because she is so smart when it comes to math and science, and she has the God-given gift of being able to communicate in a language that children understand when it comes to math. She's phenomenal, and she's been a huge help and resource to us. She saw the need in the homeschool community and just stepped up and has been a huge blessing to so many homeschoolers. And what she does is she knows how to teach math in a way that the student fully grasps. And she may teach it a little bit differently according to the student in order that they understand how to do things. And so it started off with fractions, and it has just continued on. And she is the one that recommended Matthew C to me. Matthew C has instructional DVDs, so it has a instructor that shows you how to do the thing, and so me and my children can sit along and do it. I try to do it with them so that if there's any hiccups, I can kind of work them through that, and if I can't figure it out, then I give her a call and be like, okay, when can we set up a Zoom class, because I need some help here. And she's just been phenomenal about that. I think my daughter has struggled a little bit with pre-calculus, but even still, like, she has a B- in the class. So I'm really happy with that. And it has continued on with my son. He is doing the same thing. There's a Zoom class, there's instructional DVDs, and then there's things that you can do with that, or that we do with that. For you, especially when we're trying to look at a frugal way to do homeschooling, I know it can get expensive with all of the things that we need to purchase. Not only are we paying taxes for our children to go to school, but we don't necessarily get to ask for that back in order to buy our homeschool things. But the curriculum can get expensive, and so things that you can do is look on Homeschool Marketplace and see if you can find like the instructional DVDs, the teacher instruction manual, and some of the things that you need. And then if you need to, using places like christianbook.com and Rainbow Resource, you can find some of the student workbooks a little bit cheaper. And also asking in your homeschool community, hey, is anybody done with this? And then offering things that you're done with, so that you are also helping others and giving back in a way that you have been given. Those are some great tips that I have with trying to do homeschooling a little bit frugally. I cannot obviously go and spend a couple of $1,000s per kid on a complete homeschool curriculum. I know some of the boxes that you can buy just have like everything you need. Obviously that would be a little expensive every year. So these are just some things that I've done, and then what we're doing this year to really work with that. So if you don't have an amazing friend like I have, you can go to your local library, and there are generally posters up for tutors available in these things that you need to learn how to do, whether it's math, English, writing, grammar, whatever it is. English, writing, grammar, that's all the same thing, but math, science, and language arts. There's generally a tutor out there willing to work with you, and sometimes it is a service that they give to the community. So there's something you can look into there. Again, looking at certain curriculums that do offer those instructional DVDs. There's Khan Academy, K-A-H-N or K-A-N. I don't quite remember which one. I'll leave it linked down below if I find it. But there are instructional videos on there, and that I believe is a free resource. And you can do things that way as well in order to help your child understand, especially the high school math stuff. I know for me that's been a struggle, but God has just been amazing and has really brought the resources into our life in order for my children to really learn and understand this, and it's been amazing. So that's some of the things that my daughter is doing. For when she went and took her test to get accepted into college, and like the placement test, that's what I'm trying to think of. She was kind of put on the spot, And they were like, okay, she was expecting a question and answer kind of format, and they're like, okay, write an essay and we're going to grade it based on where you are, where you need to be placed. And she was just like, what? I wasn't prepared for that. And so she did it. She did not pass the first, well, she passed the first time, but the thing is that the counselor or teacher or whatever it was there that was giving out the tests said, I know you were kind of blindsided by this. I bet you anything, come back next week, do this test again, and you'll ace it. And so that's exactly what she did, and that's exactly what happened. And for that, I have to say that we use the Rod and Staff English. I only have up to book 8. This is a Amish Mennonite program, and they do not do high school, but it is a very thorough school curriculum thing. I can guarantee you anybody that finishes this will be fine going into college. This is complete. This is all you will need, and they pack a lot into these books, but in a good, simple way that anybody can generally follow. These are what we use. These are non-consumable items, which means I don't need to replace these year after year. The only thing I need to replace is the notebooks that my kids use to write down the answers. So this is a teacher one. So basically this is what the student sees, and this is the teacher lesson and answer. And the kids they don't use this one, obviously. They have the student one. I just happen to have the teacher in the room here with me. But the students go through it, all of my kids, and they just sit down, read the lesson, do the work. I sit and correct it, and if I notice that they're really struggling on something, maybe we'll work on that a little bit more together. But that's what my daughter did, and she's doing so well. She's writing a book. She is having fun. Those were just some things that we really built on with the language arts. And with high school, writing a book, I think, is a pretty big project to undertake for your English and writing. But she has had to write some kind of important letters and documents and kind of format them. So that was some things that we were working on. With my son, who's now in high school, writing has always been a struggle for him. Now, that being said, reading was also a really big struggle for him, and here's what I mean by that. He was between the ages of 7 and 8, and I was just like, why can't this kid grasp reading? What am I doing wrong? Is he dyslexic? I'm just thinking of all these things like, come on, kid, we're reading See Dick and Jane Run. It wasn't that one. I think it was some kind of Frog and Toad book. That's usually what I used. And I'm like, why isn't this getting through to you? And then we were driving down the highway, and there was a billboard sign, and it said something extraordinary. And this kid goes, Mom, look, it's extraordinary. And I just looked at him like, are you kidding me? And I said, you read that, Stephen. You read that extraordinary word. You can read. And he goes, oh yeah, I can read. Oh my. So when I say he struggles with writing, I look at his work. He does not like it. He doesn't think he's good at it. He does really well. He needed to text. He went to look for a job. There was a hiring outside this building where they were looking for people to clean these trucks. And so he went in and said, hey, I'm looking for work. Will you hire me? And they said, you need to text this number and let us know that you're interested. And I told him, I said, okay, let me look that over before you send it, and blah, 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 blah. And he forgot to do that. He sent it, and I'm like, well, let me look at it, kind of freaking out, like, wait a minute, no, I need to do this. And he wrote mature response, kind of introducing himself, saying some of the work that he's done, how he's worked with a farmer for, X number of years. He was really interested in this. He hopes that they will get back to them. Here is a number, but here's his parents' number if they needed to check in with us and make sure it was okay. Like, it was a really good professional laid out thing, and I was just like, wow, like you can really articulate well, and you can Your grammar was on par. I mean, there was a few things that I would have been like, okay, that should probably have been like 2 sentences rather than 1. I mean, there was little nitpicky things that I could do, but it was really well done, and I was so proud of him. And I was like, yeah, you wrote this really, really well. And there was another time with his, there's been another time where he has had to write kind of a report, if you will, with work, and he again sat down, he did it, and kind of like texted like, Mom, look what I had to do today. And I was reading it and I was like, again, you did really well. You articulated well. Your grammar was pretty well done. I think that should have been capitalized, but you know, things that he just doesn't think he's well at, and this is just something that I think we're always going to have to work with. So, and we've been working again with all of the kids. They've been doing this, and so, you know, even though he struggled with it more, and he is maybe not ready to write a 5-paragraph essay like I did with my daughter, we're still working on essay writing, in the sense that I say, okay, let's take this book and here's what the author's message is. Now let's really think about and write about, like, do we think that this author's message was true? Do we think that this author was taking some liberties with it? And we don't just like, and I don't just do this, okay son, read this, okay now we're gonna write this. What happens is he takes a while to read things, a lot longer than I would necessarily want, but we have some really, really good conversations that kind of go from that. And those conversations happen when I'm like, hey, I'm going to go for a walk, son. Do you want to go with me? This doesn't happen every night. I wish it did, you know, but like, hey, let's go for a walk, and we'll get to talking. And it's like, oh, well, if you have that kind of opinion, this is kind of what that author was talking about in the book that you're reading right now. And so this is your opinion and this is his opinion. Do you guys think that there's some valid points here? And if those points are valid, this would be something really good to think about in the paper that we're learning how to write. There are opportunities like that that come up, and I really try to capitalize on. And that, in a sense, is that Charlotte Mason way of me trying to do things in a way that brings her into our homeschool, because again, I really, really like her principles, and this is how I'm trying to educate the wholehearted child. So the writing is great. Then I have the other kids that were just working on this diligently. I have another daughter that has a pen pal, and we're working on my son also having a pen pal. But again, that writing thing just isn't my boy's strength, and I don't know if it really is any boys. Like, generally speaking, there's always exceptions, but I just don't think that's going to be every boy's forte is writing. But I'm really happy with how things are going. And again, for me, it isn't just you can write a 5-paragraph essay. It is, I want you to learn how to think. I want you to really evaluate at what you're saying. Is it true? And to, most important of all, learn to think before you speak. I think we need a little bit more of that today. So those are just some things in the homeschool that we're really working on. And then these are just the resources that we're using with high school. But a lot of it kind of happens organically. Like we watched the debate, and we just had some conversations like, okay, where did those numbers come from? How do you think that they remembered those numbers? How do you think they got those numbers? And those kind of conversations happen, and then we kind of expound on that and we try to learn on that. High school history, we definitely do throughout all of the children. We go through The Story of the World by Susan Wise Bauer, and honestly, I have yet to find a history curriculum that I absolutely love and just want to share with the whole world. I haven't really found that. There's a lot with the history curriculums that I feel like you just, with history, you can't really do all that you want to do, and people try to pick out the most important things, and they have to end up deciding what they believe is the most important part of the whole history, and that's what they put in the curriculum. And maybe I find this curriculum over here really capitalized that well, but actually this one over here did this part of history and capitalized what I really wanted well. And so there's just a lot of things like that. And I think that's where Charlotte Mason's principle of living books really comes in handy. And so we have our outline with Susan Wise Bauer, and then as we kind of want to dig in a little bit deeper, we can do that with additional resources, additional books to read, or things to watch and whatnot. So a lot of that is going through grade school, and then in high school, I've been really utilizing Hillsdale College. They have some great courses available for free or a small charge on their website, and my daughter has done The Rise and Fall of the Roman Empire, the Citizen, and things like that, and she has done really well in her courses with that. I think it was like an A- in one, an A+ in another, maybe a B+ in one. I think, I don't know. I want to say that they were all A's, but I don't know. And then my son is going into those this year. So that's a lot of what I typically utilize, and then we kind of have like a broad or a basic view of history, and then if there's anything that they want to dig in more, then we kind of go more into that. The other thing that we really try to work on with in the high school years is basically what I call a citizenship thing. We're going to look at how the government works, the branches of the government, voting, like what you do on the basic city level, county level, state level, and how this overarching kind of goes up into the federal level, so that you have a full scope of what you are using as a citizen. Something that I really, really like about looking into like what, in order for someone to become a U.S. citizen, what do they need to know? And I really like to kind of take that baseline too and see if there's any holes or gaps that we haven't approached or looked at, and kind of go into there. So we do a lot of Richard Maybury's books, Whatever Happened to Justice, 1,000-Year War in the Middle East and How It Affects You Today, Ancient Rome. I have done a video on Richard Maybury books. I will leave it linked down below. Highly recommend his books. He is definitely more economics based, but there's just a lot of history in it, and it is laid out in a good, simple way. And then again, if you want to dig in deeper, there are sources that you can, follow through with that he cites, that you can dig deeper into that. So those are just some things that we do. And then you've got science. I do Apologia. I think it is very straightforward, laid out, but thorough science program. And so I have their elementary series, their middle school series, and then their high school series, and that brings in the math genius friend that I have, and she kind of talks us through and how to work on that and do things. So again, look at co-ops. Those are a great thing to have. If you have a homeschool community, usually with co-ops, what they typically do is they take instructors that are really good in one area. So maybe someone is really strong in math, and they use that person to teach, and another person may be really strong in grammar, and they use that person to teach, and history and whatnot, and everybody, music, and they can all come in, and then for a annual fee or a class fee, I'm not really sure how each particular one does it, everybody volunteers to help. They all work together, a co-op. And those are some great, great resources, especially to make sure that your kid is getting a full-rounded education, and some of the things that maybe you can't teach, you can outsource that in a great way. Like the one that we had back in California had even a drama team, and so they were able to put on some really, really cool plays. Like they did Pollyanna, they did Robin Hood, and what was the other one? They did like this combined, Zorro and Robin Hood, kind of the two, the Western and the medieval villain fight for justice, or out villain, or whatever it is, fight for justice. I mean, they just have a lot of really great plays, and we've tried to find some here. The only ones we have found have been doing the SpongeBob musical, and we just decided to kind of cancel out on that. But definitely, if you can find something like that in your area, those are great resources to really hone in on. Some of the other things for the high school is that I have 2 high schoolers that are working right now, and so one of the things that we've added to our high school is learning how to budget and really, you know, see how money works. So they each have a cell phone, and they are required to pay their cell phone bill. We have a line with Consumer Cellular, or we're with Consumer Cellular, whatever that is. There's obviously 4 lines, and they are required to pay for their cell phone thing. If they earn money, they pay cell phone bill. Because the whole point of the cell phone was I needed to be able to get a hold of them at work if they were needing me. So they are required to pay the cell phone bill. So again, we learned how to do money. Some of the things that we've worked with, so, excuse me, my daughter can drive now. She has her Michigan license. And so I was like, hey, here's a shopping list. Here's how I like to find the deals. Go do the grocery shopping for me. And this is the budget that we need to keep it at, but these are the meals that I want to make, and these are the ingredients I need, so go figure this out. And so those are just some things that she is able to do. When my son learns how to drive and can take over, I would like him to do that a couple of times. And so again, these are just skills that they're doing. They are doing. Each of them have uniforms that they need to wear for work, and so it is their responsibility to make sure that they get washed. And yeah, sometimes they aren't, and that's on them. But these are skills that I want them to have, because that's real life. Like, you are going to be an adult. You are going to need to make sure that you are dressed and presented well at work, or whatever it is. If you decide to be a stay-at-home mom, that's on you, whatever it is. But you still have requirements of you that we can learn how to do now. And so there is a full kind of education for high school with the college. My son doesn't want to do college. My son wants to be like go to college and do the 4-year thing. Like, he doesn't want to do that. He has actually a specific thing that he wants to do. He has always wanted to be a firefighter. I think, if I understand correctly, with what he wants to do, you can do the high school, college courses that begin that, because you do need to know some instruction training, and you do need to have some EMT training, and they do require a certain amount of college work for that. But it is, there's a word for it, and I can't think of the word, but you go to a college in order to learn this. You don't necessarily just go to your firefighter station to learn this. So those are the things that he's looking at doing and kind of going forward to doing. So again, I have a daughter that wants to do college. We do not pay for college. If you want to do college, that's on your dime. She's, you know, learning about things like applications and grants and things like that. And I'm here to help her if she needs any help, but I'm not going to look into this. That is something I would like her to learn how to do, and things like that. So that is high school. And then the younger ones, like I kind of have been showing throughout, this video, there's just different things that we're doing with our grammar, our math. I shared math. We have spelling. We do spelling wisdom from Simply Charlotte Mason, which basically kind of looks at a whole paragraph, and you read it and you note any words that maybe you don't know how to spell right offhand, and you kind of get to see that word in a sentence structure and how it's being used. And so it's not just a word over here that you're learning how to spell and you look up a meaning. You're actually getting to see how it's being used in a sentence, and how the vocabulary kind of builds on and things like that. So I really like that curriculum. I believe I've also done a video on that, and I'll try to leave that link down below. So we do that for spelling and things like that. Even to a certain extent some grammar, because, you know, as you're writing, you need to kind of note, okay, this would be the end of a thought, this would be a comma, and sometimes I don't point anything out, so I will read a complete sentence and they know it's a complete sentence, and then they'll kind of look back over it and be like, okay, that needs a comma. So, and that's again where this has really helped. So having a good foundation with that really helps with the structure of spelling wisdom. For history, again, we do Story of the World with additional resources, whatever it is that maybe somebody's interested in. So like right now my son is doing the Alamo. Yeah, he's doing the Alamo, and my daughter is doing, I think she's doing some of the Civil War. But it might be no, it is Civil War. It's Civil War. And then my youngest son, we are working through, we're doing Liberty Kids with him. So that's kind of just a basic outline of American Revolution. It is a DVD set, and it's something that I can put on for him, and he can do that while I'm working with the older ones. He's still hearing stuff with the older ones, so he's still picking up stuff. But that is kind of his, okay, here's what you can do for now. Obviously, once Liberty Kids is over, I will move on, but that's just what I'm doing right now. And then we'll probably move into Story of the World with him. Other things that we're doing is I have 2 high school, 2 middle grade, and 1 elementary. And the top middle grade student, he loves to cook. That is he's always been my, hey, let's go make tamales. Hey, let's go, I want to learn how to make this dessert. Hey, I want to do that. He's always been my chef. And so some of the things that we've been doing with him is, hey, build a good nutritionally balanced menu for the week for you, and then he makes the meals. That is on him, and he's been doing that, and he's been loving that. It is just like his excitement. We haven't moved him to do it for everybody, just kind of him right now. Just again, you're learning portion, you're learning how much you eat and things like that, so that's just kind of been more his thing. That's been fun. We're learning about like taking care of chores at like regular intervals, teamed all around, get all the dust bunnies. It's first of the month, or second week of the month. Let's just go random. Let's go second week of the month. Okay, these are the times that we really need to make sure that the car is cleaned out. You did it last month, you can do it this month. Or week, like if we've done beach time, like that picks up beach sand. So okay, let's make sure that the car gets cleaned out, and just different things like that where I'm trying to teach them to think about it and me not having to tell them to do it. And so those are just some things that we're kind of bringing on and bringing up. They are now more involved in making the menu with me, and I've been including them more in making dinner with me. And so those are just some home skills that we're really looking at doing. And so I hope this video is what you were looking for. If there's anything more specific you would like to know about, please leave it in the comment section down below, and I will get to it as soon as I can. Thank you so much for watching today's video, and I'll see you in the next one.